Good afternoon. My name is Valerie Frias. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Ethos. Ethos is a Jamaica Plain-based nonprofit that serves elders and the disabled in the city of Boston. We provide nutritious meals for elders throughout the city. We also provide home care services, in-home services, to preserve the dignity of elders to age in place in their communities and in their homes. We have a wide variety of services that we offer. In addition to meals and home care, we provide social programs and connection. We usually do that in person, but in the wake of the coronavirus, we're starting to do that virtually. I'm committing to you to do this as frequently as possible, to answer your questions, to talk about questions that we've had raised. But in the meantime, I want to first give you important phone numbers. If you are an elder, or if you are a family member of an elder who needs food services, who needs meal delivery, please call our office. Our nutrition program line, 617-477-6606. That's 617-477-6606. That will take you directly to our nutrition program. If you need home care, other in-home services, please call our main number at 617-522-6700. Again, 617-522-6700. That's for folks in Southwest Boston, meaning Jamaica Plain, Mission Hill, West Roxbury, Mattapan. Call that number. If you need any other information, or if you forget either one of the two numbers I've given you, you can call the citywide Boston Elder Information number. That number is 617-292-6211. We've had some concern in terms of COVID-19 with some elders who've called in and asked about social distancing and how to keep themselves safe. I want to talk a little bit about how to keep yourself safe. One is to make sure that you have some connection outside of your home. And Ethos can provide that. We can do well checks with you. We can give you a call. We can provide those meals so that there's some connection with a human being, either delivering a meal to your doorstep or on the telephone. So please reach out. We have emergency mental health programs. We know in these times where we're asking you to stay at home and to distance yourself from your usual family members and friends, that this is a time when social isolation really impacts us. And it impacts elders and the disabled in a disproportionate manner. So we want to make sure that we are connecting in as many ways as possible with as many points of contact as possible. We're going to try to put as much of our programming online as possible. We're going to have some yoga classes and some other exercise classes and people talking about both the health implications of how to keep yourself safe and how to keep others in your life safe so that we get through this to the other side. And I am confident that together as a community, we are going to get through this to the other side. I will be with you and do these Facebook Live chats with you as frequently as possible. You can put your questions, comments in the comment section. I will take as many of them as I can. I have a few that have come up that I want to address. The first is, are the people that we are sending out safe? And what are our folks who are employed by us doing to make sure that our interactions with you are as safe as possible in the wake of COVID-19? So our staff are doing safety checks every day. If they have any symptoms at all of cold or flu, the slightest sniffle, we are not allowing them to come into the office. They are staying home. They will not interact with you. Those who do go out are going out, if they're delivering meals, with gloves to ensure that that meal delivery is handled in a safe and appropriate manner. These are hot delivered meals and cold meals that are nutritious. They have everything that you need. We have low sodium. We have different versions in terms of ethnicity to accommodate lots of different groups of people. So please do call that nutrition line. I'm going to give it again because I really feel like in this age where people are staying at home and we are suggesting that you stay at home, that is the best guidance from the CDC. That is the best guidance from the Mass Department of Public Health. Please call our nutrition line for that home delivered meal service. And again, it's 617-477-6606. That is a really important line we're going to be here this weekend, you can call that line and leave a message. We will return your call and get an assessment specialist to make sure that you are getting all that you need. Our legislators are working hard to make sure that we have the resources we need to provide all the services safely and effectively. We're communicating with our partners at the Department of Public Health on a daily basis to ensure that we are following all the safety protocols. We're calling you before we come to make sure that you aren't sick, and if you are, to help assess what you might need and what steps you might need to take in order to make sure that you stay healthy as well and get any treatment that you need. Those over 60 are at greater risk. Many of our grocery stores have opened up earlier hours. Stop and Shop and Roach Brothers, to be two, are opening at 6 a.m. in the case of Stop and Shop and 7 a.m. in the case of Roach Brothers for a special hour and a half long segment of time where only elders and their caregivers are allowed in, so that you may have that time and social distance to keep you safe if you are someone who is still able to get out and do your grocery shopping. If you aren't, again, please call that number, and we will certainly find some way to help you and get meals delivered. If you live in a big building, we can coordinate with your resident services coordinator so that we can do a big drop of meals for all the folks in your building. Now, we have a special guest caller with us today, Congressman Joe Kennedy from the 4th District. Congressman Kennedy.
No, hi. I'm sorry I'm late, you guys. I apologize. As you can probably imagine, it's a mad scramble day after day here. So I really want to thank you for, one, the opportunity to join you, and most importantly, for the absolutely essential work that all of you and Ethos are doing every single day. It's certainly as important, but as critical now than ever before. And we're going to be relying on you on this in the days and weeks ahead. So thank you, truly. I'm grateful for you. And hope that everybody is doing everything they can to stay healthy and safe in some very trying times. I was asked to kind of give a quick update as to what's going on down in Washington. Talk a little bit about a couple of issues around testing and treatment, and some ideas around cash payments to taxpayers, and a couple of other things. So we can jump right into it. By now, I'm sure you've all seen that Senate Republicans released their version of our third rescue package late last night. We're still going through the details and trying to get through it as best we can. But initial response you might have seen also from Speaker Pelosi and the Minority Leader Chuck Schumer in the Senate, that they did take in fact a different take. Rather than centering American workers and families, they focused on business and corporations. I expect that the hope is that the Senate and House are able to come to agreement on this in very short order, of course, in the next couple of days. And hope is to vote on something for final passage on Monday and start to get these funds deployed out in the community immediately. No one's going to love this. It's going to be one of those things that you got to kind of hold your nose and vote for. But I do think that the risk of going too slowly here far outweighs the benefits of trying to make sure you've got 100% agreement and perfection in terms of policy, particularly when so much of the concern at the moment comes from American families that are just facing a very uncertain future economically and with regards to their health and safety.
Congressman, can I ask you what in the last bill was added to, if anything, to ensure coverage for COVID-19 testing and treatment?
So in the last bill, Val, we passed assurances to make sure that every single person, regardless of, irrespective of anything, particularly with regards to immigration, which has been immigration status, which has been a sticking point on a number of federally funded issues. Anybody can get it. Let me put it this way. Nobody will have to pay for a test, right? All of the testing is going to be absolutely free. We run into a challenge at the moment, as you know, as everybody knows, that we don't have enough tests. And so that has been the challenge from the beginning. That is an issue that we are working on literally minute by minute, hour by hour, to try to alleviate some of the blockages and drive resources to scale up that testing. But the last bill ensured that no one is going to have to pay for that test, and that is not the financial resources are not going to be the reason why people don't get them. Again, there's plenty of other reasons why people aren't getting them, which we are trying to address. But the financial, somebody's financial status or immigration status is not going to be the reason why people don't get access to the test. Yep.
I was going to ask about meals and food. Food insecurity has become a major issue for people with whom we interact here in the city of Boston. Was there any money included in that bill for the Meals on Wheels program?
Yes, there is money. So one of the core aspects of the second bill that we passed, the Senate passed earlier this week, came down to 5 components. So testing, one, paid leave, heard a bit about, which needs to get more robust and stronger protections, but it was an expansion on paid leave programs, unemployment insurance, and access to enhanced unemployment insurance, Medicaid, enhancing Medicaid, and critical health safety net dollars, and then food. So nutritional assistance, a particular support for the 22 million children that receive at least 1, if not 2 meals a day from school. Schools are going to be closed for weeks on end. They need to be able to get access to that nutrition. Meal programs like funding for programs like Meals on Wheels, nutritional access to nutrition for seniors, and for individuals in our social safety net. So there was additional funding allocated in that bill. But again, Val, I think as we would all agree, probably not going to be anywhere near enough. And so that's part of the focus of the next one. Look, that last bill, hard to judge exactly what the economic impact of it's going to be in terms of funding. It depends on how many people are in need of some of those resources and whatnot. But somewhere in the tune, I think the last that I saw, I think was in the tune of $100 billion. This next one is in the tune of $1 trillion. And so a far greater allocation and infusion of money into individuals and into our system. It does for the current version of it, again, the one sponsored by Senate Republicans, so take that for what it's worth. Does call for direct cash payments, which I was thrilled to see that they included that. They, of course, did not include nearly robust funding to actually make it all that meaningful. So we'll be pushing to try to increase that funding. It includes significant support for small businesses, to the tune of about $300 billion. I'm fairly confident that's not going to be enough either, but that is an awful lot of money. We do have to work through, Val, some of the issues about how that money gets distributed, how much each business can gain access to, how you administer that program, how you make those funds available. There's significant bureaucratic hurdles there of just saying if you drop $300 billion with an organization like the SBA, if every small business in the country needs help, which they all do, how do you get that money out without creating a backlog that takes weeks when folks don't have weeks to give? And then additional support for specific sectors. You've heard an awful lot about this, particularly airline, hotels, cruise ships, and now a number of others that are lining up to ask for assistance given the fact that the economy has just ground to a halt. But the goal behind this is to get as much money out into the system as we can, provide families the economic certainty that they need to know that they can, in fact, stay home, stay safe, focus on keeping their families well and healthy. And if we do that, we can get in front of this virus and actually end the public health crisis, which started this financial crisis. Our financial system, obviously, well, we need to do more than for everybody. This crisis did not stem from financial malfeasance. This stemmed from a lack of sufficient public health infrastructure and an administration's slow response to get out in front of a crisis that has now led to economic devastation. So we need to reassure communities that they're not going to face an economic disaster, empower them to be able to stay home, get healthy, get well, and get us through this as quickly as we can.
So you and I have spoken frequently about the mental health system in this country, and with social distancing comes social isolation, and that disproportionately impacts elders, and certainly disproportionately impacts elders who perhaps speak different languages, family isn't here, are LGBTQ, who have, again, even higher rates of depression and anxiety. We all have a certain level of anxiety with COVID-19, Is there anything in the bill, or can you recommend anything that people can do in this time of distancing?
So, Val, we've been particularly concerned about what happens to patients that have other medical needs. And so, some folks that have chronic conditions that put themselves at risk of coming to, say, a community health center or treatment center where you might run into somebody that is contagious. And obviously a big piece of it is access to mental behavioral health treatment, like counseling sessions, et cetera, when you are in a time of social distancing. One of the things we are pushing on, and it's been critical with regards to the treatment of COVID, is telehealth, and trying to make it easier for various systems to allow for, at least on the kind of people that might be struggling with some aspects of mental behavioral challenges, that they can engage in telehealth sessions, allow where health providers and systems can get reimbursed for it, so that they can maintain some level of communication and treatment and not have to all of a sudden have their care cycle broken unexpectedly. So that's one big piece to it. Two, look, and this is something that all of us can do, right? It's not going to be the same thing as ensuring consistent access to treatment, but check in on folks. Call them. I'm doing a fair amount of that with folks that I know that are sick, but just making sure that people know that we're thinking of them, touching them. This crisis is going to put severe strain on everybody, whether that's from loved ones that are ill to the financial insecurity to just major stressors in your daily routine. And we need to make sure that folks are looked after and looking out for each other.
That's great, and we're doing our best here. Our emergency mental health outreach team is still active and engaged, and we'll be doing home visits for those who are in that level of crisis. We're trying to do as much telephonic as possible to, of course, make sure that we're ensuring safety, but it's great to hear you speak about those issues as well. And I really want to commend your leadership. It's been phenomenal to see all that you've put out socially and what you're doing in Congress to move bills forward that ensure the health and safety of our citizens and also our businesses.
Absolutely, Val. What else are you hearing?
We're really hearing that folks are getting nervous about what's on the grocery shelves.
Yep.
And I don't know if you can speak to that in terms of production and food production lines and what's going to be happening with grocery stores, and especially in the wake of a potential shelter in place.
Yeah, so the states that have issued a shelter-in-place order have obviously exempted certain employees and certain workers, and part of that is obviously the workers that are necessary in order to make sure some semblance of commerce functions. I was in a grocery store yesterday. A lot of the produce was cleaned out. A number of parts of the shelves were bare. Asked folks when they were expecting, and that's not just like toilet paper and sanitizer. That was just some staples that I was surprised to see weren't there. And the folks said, they weren't entirely certain when things were coming in, but kind of play it by ear. I'd say a couple issues on the grocery stores. So one, some of the personnel there will be exempted to make sure that people still have the ability to go out and eat, and even the shelter-in-place orders are for the exempt folks from, essential visits, doctor's visits, prescription runs, grocery runs. So you should have confidence of your ability to continue to do that. The second, obviously, is that because the virus is so contagious, and it can live on exposed surfaces, that's pretty resilient on exposed surfaces, that grocery stores are one of those places where you can imagine that this is going to spread. One, it's a place that is critical for our survival, so it's going to stay open. Two, there's an awful lot of hands that touch an awful lot of things in a grocery store. So I would just urge folks that as you go through the grocery store, as you engage in your shopping, be extra vigilant and careful. Grab a wipe, or some of the stores provide them. If they don't, bring one with you. Wipe down that cart
Congressman, you and I are both members of what is now being called the sandwich generation. So we both have parents who are over the age of 60 and young children that we're caring for. What's your best advice, and what are you doing for your parents, your kids, and taking care of yourself in this process?
So parents, my mom was out. She goes to visit friends for a couple of weeks every winter, western part of the country. We had her come back, which was a bit of a debate. She was in a more rural part of the country, and to that extent should be a bit more takes probably a lower degree of exposure to the virus. But still had her come back just because if she did get exposed, we wanted her to be around some place that had access to quality care. So she came back. Luckily, she's asymptomatic, but we are checking in with her because she is in kind of on the lower end of that at-risk demographic, but still in that demographic nonetheless. And because at least as those data is changing, the existing information indicated that children are more resilient. They're not resistant, but resilient to tolerate the disease a bit better. Might have a low-grade fever, somewhat of a cough. I got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. They always have a fever and a cough, like always. And we obviously can't get, they're both seem perfectly healthy and fine, but I don't want to risk the fact that they are carriers to this and could affect my mom, so we are keeping our distance for now, but just checking in with her. FaceTime and all that stuff is it's helpful just to maintain the contact, and my kids love grandma and grandpa too. But I would certainly check in with, I am checking in with my parents, making sure that they're doing all right and feeling okay, and engaging in that social distancing, but as we talked about earlier, not totally isolated. With regards to kids, that's also a particular challenge, and it's going to get harder. School is closed for our 4-year-old. School is closed for the next several weeks. They don't do great being cooped up inside. Playgrounds aren't great for them, and not just because there might be other kids around, which sometimes there are, sometimes they're not these days, but because the virus can live on exposed surfaces for an extended period of time, and you can't ever keep a kid from keeping something out of their mouth, particularly their hands. We want to be really deliberate and careful about that. So, kind of going back to the well on all sorts of different kids' activities, and trying to engage them as best we can. And we have a little backyard outside, trying to get them to run around and chase the dog, which the dog thought was fun for the first couple of days. I don't know how much fun he'll think that is, but doing everything we can to try to get them to stay active, stay engaged, but stay safe. Wiping down some of their toys, being pretty vigilant about if we have gone out, because lack of childcare or whatever else, you have to take them out. You're washing their hands, you're wiping them down, making sure that they're cleaned up right before as they come inside the house, and just do everything we can to keep them safe. And as everybody here knows, in imperfect science, we're doing all we can.
So we're coming up on 1 o'clock, Congressman. I want to be respectful of your time. Do you have any closing advice for those watching?
A couple things. So first off, the top line message is we're going to get through this, and have confidence in that. We've gotten through far worse, and we're going to get through this. It's uncharted times and uncertain times, but we'll get through it. We're going to be better getting through it if we look out after each other, if you do engage in that social distancing, if you wash your hands, check in on other folks, and that our federal government steps up to the plate and makes sure that everybody else can be okay. And we're trying to do that. It's going to get hard here before it gets easier, but each and every one of us literally can do our part to make sure that we get through it with as little pain and dislocation as possible. So look out after each other to the extent that folks can. And I realize finances are really tight for an awful lot of folks and a lot of anxiety, but there's an awful lot of need. So whether it's supporting organizations like Ethos or the charity that we set up